You know, I had every intention today of coming on here and talking about Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts. I actually had the entire video prepared and ready. I just got to record it. We're going to get to that tomorrow. I'm going to be talking about how both fans and the media, I feel like, are overreacting to both of these young quarterbacks and just pointing to some concerns I have about each one of them. Anyway, I had every intention of talking about that today. I was leaving the doctor yesterday. Hop in my car, turn on my YouTube, and one of the first videos that comes up on my feed is from Clay Travis at Outkick. Now, I've never been a big fan of Clay Travis until this past summer. I always felt like he was a guy that kind of said things to try to be controversial. But I gained a newfound respect for Clay Travis this past summer, because he was the only sports personality in the mainstream sports media, at least on a national basis, that was calling out the wokeness that is infecting our professional sports and our college sports. The wokeness that took over the NBA. The wokeness that tried to take over the NFL. The same wokeness that is decimating ESPN. Now, it's important that Clay Travis continues to do this. I've been consistent with my criticism of the wokeness for months, but I'm a small channel. I don't have a big platform yet. I'm still trying to build this platform. Clay Travis has a national platform with Fox Sports Radio. So it's critical that he continues to call out the sports leagues, ESPN, and individual athletes for their wokeness. Because he's the only one on a national level that is doing it. So full transparency, the idea for today's video actually came from Clay Travis at Outkick. I'll never claim an idea as my own if I didn't come up with it. Now, that being said, let's get into what he brought to my attention yesterday as I was on the road. Have you guys ever heard of Domonique Foxworth? You would be forgiven if you've never heard of him. Domonique Foxworth played in the NFL for 6 years. He was drafted in the third round back in 2005 by the Denver Broncos. Played 3 seasons in Denver, 1 in Atlanta. Spent some time in Baltimore before retiring from the NFL. Now, from what I read about him, he retired due to consistent injuries. Now, since retiring from the NFL, he has been an NFL analyst at ESPN. Now, I use that term analyst loosely when talking about personalities at ESPN, because most of their analysts are nothing but woke political shields. That perfectly describes Domonique Foxworth. He writes for The Undefeated, which is a site owned by ESPN that caters to the urban audience. In other words, it caters to the African American audience, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. There are some stories on The Undefeated that I actually enjoy reading. They do some good work. Of course, there are others on the site that are just woke garbage. Foxworth was on Bomani Jones' podcast, which is a podcast owned and distributed by ESPN. The topic of Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen comes up. And just check out what Domonique Foxworth had to say about Josh Allen. I would play the audio for you, but the damn copyright strike from YouTube, it's just not worth dealing with. So I'm going to read his comments to you instead. Quote, "I am fully aware that I have biases." All right, let me just stop right there. First of all, if ESPN is paying you hundreds of thousands of dollars, presumably, every year to analyze the NFL, you shouldn't have biases. At minimum, you shouldn't allow your biases to affect your analysis. Everyone has biases. We all have biases. We all have opinions. I'm not a big fan of Baker Mayfield. Other than Dak Prescott, I have been more critical of Baker Mayfield more than any other quarterback in the NFL. But I'm also objective when it comes to analyzing his game on the field. It doesn't pain me when Baker Mayfield succeeds. It doesn't bother me. I'm not happy when he fails. If Baker Mayfield plays well or is improving and developing, I'll tell you. And if I think he's not developing at the pace he should, I'll tell you. That's how it's supposed to work. That's the problem with the mainstream media today. Everyone has an agenda. Analysts and journalists who are supposed to give you objective opinion give you biased, agenda-driven opinion instead. Let's get back to Domonique Foxworth's comments. Quote, "And my biases are not based on Josh Allen. It's based on the people that are defending Josh Allen. I would be 100% lying if I said that when Josh does something dumb, a little part of me doesn't get happy. And it's not because I don't want Josh Allen to succeed. It's because the people who are telling me that Josh Allen is the second coming and Josh is better than everybody are people with American flags and dogs and skulls and crossbones. If you go just take a dip into their tweet history, it's some really concerning retweets and likes. It's not about Josh," end quote. Where do you even begin with this? I mean, where to begin? First, let me just say this. Tua Tagovailoa, he went to the University of Alabama for college. Now, there are segments of Alabama fans that proudly fly the Confederate flag. Now, do you think Domonique Foxworth would have pulled for the demise of Tua because a portion of Alabama's fan base was ignorant? Of course he wouldn't. But see, that wouldn't fit the woke narrative. Let me tell you something I'm tired of. Domonique Foxworth said that he doesn't like Josh Allen because fans of his fly the American flag. Domonique Foxworth was born in Oxford, England. I have no idea when he moved to America. Could have been as a child. Either way, though, he has become a millionaire because of opportunities afforded to him by this country. He has a platform at ESPN. He has a voice because of opportunities provided to him by this country. Yet clearly, he has some type of disdain towards America. I'm tired of these elitist, these privileged athletes and sports personalities crapping all over the country that made them rich. I hate to be cliche when I say this, but if you hate America that much, why don't you just get the hell out? We won't miss you, Domonique Foxworth, if you decide to leave. Clay Travis brought up a couple of good points on this that I just want to mention briefly. First, he said that if a white NFL analyst at ESPN had said something like this about Lamar Jackson, he would have been fired immediately. They would have yanked him off the air. And Clay Travis is absolutely right about that. I'm not a supporter of cancel culture, and it's rare. I don't know if it's ever happened, but it's rare that I call for someone to get fired on here. But I'm also for equal treatment across the board. If Mike Greenberg at ESPN had said something like this about Lamar Jackson, he would have been fired. So I feel like Domonique Foxworth should be fired. At minimum, he should be yanked off the air at ESPN. I was talking to one of my friends about this yesterday, and he made a great point. He said guys like Domonique Foxworth, they say things like this for attention. Now, whether that attention is positive or negative, it really doesn't matter. He made the point that people who disagree or might hate him for these type of comments will follow him on social media just to continue to bash him, which means he has a bigger platform to promote and make money. And it kind of makes sense. I had never really thought of it that way, but he could be right. I'm convinced that social media is a cancer on our society. Facebook to me is a disease. I used to enjoy Twitter, and I should probably use Twitter more to get my content more exposure. I just can't get into it anymore. It's nothing but garbage. I get tired of seeing the stupidity on Twitter. Anyway, let's get back to Clay Travis. He made what I thought was another excellent point on this, and it speaks to the bias in the mainstream media. Clay Travis predicted that he would be the only personality on a national scale with a national platform that would mention Domonique Foxworth's comments. And he was absolutely right. He was right. When I Googled Domonique Foxworth, one website ran the story. One. Like I said, if Mike Greenberg would have said it, It would have been the leading story on major sports programs throughout the country. Hell, it probably would have been talked about on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. But because these comments came from someone in the woke community, it's crickets in the media. You hear nothing from the mainstream media about it. Because what Domonique Foxworth said fits their agenda. It's the height of hypocrisy. In my opinion, we should all be allowed to say whatever the hell we want. I don't mind Domonique Foxworth's comments. I really don't. I actually prefer that he say it because it exposes him. It shows what type of person he is. I don't want people living in the shadows. I want them to be comfortable to speak their mind, whether good or bad. That's not how it works, though. If you work at ESPN, you aren't allowed to say anything positive about America, anything positive about the military, anything positive about Donald Trump. But you can damn sure trash the country, trash the military, make up complaints about fake oppression and racism. Those agendas are okay. And that's fine. That's fine. I hope ESPN continues to employ guys like Domonique Foxworth. I hope they continue to be woke. The free market always finds ways to work these things out. What happens is what's been happening at ESPN for quite a while now. People quit watching. SportsCenter is continuing to struggle in the ratings. First Take, struggling. We've covered extensively the layoffs that have been happening at ESPN this year. And it wouldn't surprise me if ESPN had another round of layoffs the middle of next year. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. What do you guys think of Domonique Foxworth's comments about Josh Allen? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.